We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session, our only Friday of the term. It is June 3rd, 2022. We will continue with the final day of demonstrative speeches today. If any of you had any kind of technical difficulty, either on day one or day two, this week only, I will accept speeches going up until class time on Monday. But starting next week, if I do not receive speeches on the day in which they are assigned, it will be listed as a 0. There are always extenuating circumstances, but especially during the summer, we go into great detail, hour by hour, on proper techniques to prepare speeches in an online course. So please make certain that you are watching the videos and getting everything done week by week. It's not a situation where you can turn something in a couple of weeks later. I expect all materials to be completed by a certain time on a certain day of a certain week. But again, this weekend only. If there were any issues that any of you had, please make certain that I get those speeches over the weekend and then at the end of class on Monday, because I'm going to stay with the schedule and get into informative speech research on Monday, because we go on the Monday through Thursday rotation for the final 3 weeks of the term, the final 12 sessions, if you will. I'll go ahead and play them at the end of class, but that still means anyone who needs to make up their demonstrative speech, you need to make certain that the informative speeches are completed by Wednesday or Thursday of next week, or they will not be accepted. And it's probably highly relevant in the case that if you're not getting stuff done on time, you'll have to drop the course. That is a courtesy out of everyone who is getting their material done on time. And we will go to those presentations in just a moment. Let's go to Blackboard, remind everyone of the course itinerary coming up for next week. For informative speaking, on Monday of next week, it is going to be informative speech research on June 6th. June 7th, Tuesday, will be informative speech topic selection. Wednesday of next week, June 8th, informative speech day 1. June 9th, informative speech day 2. I also may stick in a quick preview of speeches from semesters gone by for more tips on how you can improve, and you've heard this on many occasions, your content, your delivery, and your visuals. When it comes to the course syllabus itself and point allocations, the website, Twitter, my Yahoo email address, which I'm looking at right now, in addition to my SAU email address for additional data to be sent to me. But the 20 points maximum for the demonstrative speech, those will be posted in the Grade Center by class time on Monday. And what I do, as you're well aware, I will check your audio and video from Loom, or if any of you use YouTube, everyone's been using Loom so far, whether it be audio or video or both. But it's really important that all of you check in the Grade Center to see where you stand, because those points are going to add up very, very quickly. Tools on the menu, My Grades, everything is going to be listed here. Or you can actually go to My Grades, and it clicks on exactly the same thing. Back to the Tools area of the menu at Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Right now, we are technically in class live. Over here, click on the menu bar for recordings, and this is what we've done so far. I really feel it's important that you do two things. Watch all of the videos from front to back, because on occasion, in online sessions in years gone by, students will ask questions that have been addressed on multiple occasions in the course videos. Well, can I do this? If you're not watching the video, then obviously you don't know the answer. So I try to be as comprehensive as possible in making certain that every tool is available at your disposal to maximize your effectiveness as a public speaker. And because this is in the preview mode, I could go ahead and watch yesterday's video and we could see in real time what it looked like. But what I will do is to get out of the student preview mode, go back into how I see tools, how I see Ultra, go to the recordings area of the menu. This is what we did yesterday. If I want to watch this right now, because I use Google Drive, it opens in a separate tab. And I'm doing this for the benefit of those of you who may have any kind of an issue with connectivity. The course videos are also being downloaded to my website, but if you want to see what it looks like in real time, anything that you do, as I indicated during yesterday's class session, you're the content creators. You can usually go to Blackboard very quickly after I have completed a course and pick up bits and pieces of what I have done. So this is what yesterday's class session looked like, including what some of your cohorts did on day one. We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session. It is Thursday, June 2nd, 2022. Today and tomorrow, we will start demonstrative speeches. Today is day one. Tomorrow, the only Friday that we meet during the summer, is going to be day two. Stress too much about the other 2%. Even something as basic as lighting. I may not necessarily like the lighting from previous classes, so I turn them off.
Simply moisturizing your face better. To start off, hygiene is the most important aspect of maintaining and caring for your beard. You need to wash your beard as often as you wash your hair. Right? A dirty beard is an unhealthy beard. And
common misconceptions, and then getting back to the beginning of the presentation, how to properly care for a beard. Let's go ahead and listen to his introduction and then pick up a little bit of his audio during the speech to double check for conversationality, extemporaneous quality, the ability to have a clear, articulate, enunciative style.
But we like these ones better because it's easier to crumble and it just tastes better than the regular ones. You also need milk, eggs, oil, and water, depending on if you use cake mix or if you make a homemade cake.
What you'll also want to do, like with Scott, is to tighten up the webcam so the headroom is basically going to be just a little over your head so we can fill the screen with your face. And that's a matter of experimentation to the beginning of a process and then going all the way to what you feel is the natural conclusion. And this is a savory dish. Our speaker is in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and this is our third speech of the day.
Hi, my name is Cornisha Griffin, and today I will be telling you how to make oven roasted pork chops and potatoes.
Whenever I am going back and forth like this, I'm cutting off part of the bottom of the screen. And feel free to experiment with the size of the slides as opposed to the size of your face on the webcam. And I'll put that up on the screen right now. That's what I was originally referring to before we saw someone who was at the doctor's today. This is my Yahoo email account for the speech class. Nice, clean storytelling style that she has here. Nothing calls attention to itself in terms of being sloppy. Everything is nice and neat, whether it is the conclusion recap, the recovery period with a couple of bullet points, and the ice pack, the good mechanics, and she's throwing in personal stories, having done this before with her experience in sports, become as blurry as it was, but she did a really nice job with that for, even though I have it listed as demonstrative speech video because she's actually on there. There's no webcam, so to speak, included on, and it's not. So that obviously is an issue that is on the social media platform itself. But most of the stuff that I've been sending out recently on my Twitter feed is for this class. I more on visual cues. But as time goes on, always remember, this week you're demonstrating a process. So let's focus on this week. Those of you who spoke today can sit back and relax, watch your videos, because as I said at the outset of today's course session, you're my content creators for 8 of the 19 class sessions. So let's keep up the improvement, let's keep up the practice, and we will continue tomorrow with day 2 of demonstrative speeches. This video, which is going to be listed as session 6 for demonstrative speech, day 1, should be posted in real time in about 1 hour. As we conclude class in real time, it is exactly 2 o'clock. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, Demonstrative Speech Day 1 in the books, Demonstrative Speech Day 2 coming up tomorrow, the only Friday that we meet. That concludes the recording session for today. For all of you, this comes, in my case, as being a mass media person. The video playback, as you're well aware, is extremely essential for your long-term success. What do you look like on camera? How do you sound? Do your visuals make sense in terms of the overall graphics, the slides, the storytelling ability, the professionalism by which you put them together? What you see me do in class, in real time, are honest reactions. I set everything up before class, but I make a mental note not to watch everything in its totality until we actually get to the speeches themselves. That's what I did yesterday. That's what I'll be doing today, and what I'll be doing all during the term. But it is important for everyone to understand that you need to make certain that stuff is done on the week that it is due, with the proviso that if anyone had an issue this week, get me everything by class time on Monday, or it won't be accepted and it'll be listed as a 0. And that's out of a courtesy, not only to the way in which the course is set up, but I think most importantly, to your classmates. So let's go ahead and dive into our presentations for the day after we go to my Yahoo email address, so I can show you again what it looks like when documentation is sent to me. If it is sent to my SAU address, I forward it to the Yahoo address. This is what everyone has sent me so far. Mr. Raina Garcia sent me 2 different versions to be safe, and the first version worked. So that's the one that I've got in a separate tab ready to go, and we'll be playing his presentation first. We've got a variety of different topics today. We'll be playing them, and as I indicated at the class, probably stick in 1 or 2 more videos that are related either to demonstrative or, looking forward to next week, informative content, because the more speeches that you watch, the more graphics that you examine, are going to be of great assistance and importance in putting together your own stories. Your own personalities, ideally, are going to come through no matter what of the 4 presentations you're giving week by week. But this is everything that has been sent to me so far during the term, starting from here and then going on down to the bottom. And if you see my name in the far left hand side, it is because something was sent to my SAU address and I forwarded here. But everything that students send is always going to be checked here. And then there's something else. On occasion, I will check my spam email because it may not necessarily read all of these addresses. So I always check everything to make certain. But as of right now, everything that has been sent to me is at that website. Let's get into our first presentation of the day. This is from Mr. Reina Garcia, and his topic is, quote, how to bake a delicious box cake. And I should indicate, and I was mentioning this before we start for all of you, please make certain that in the future you put your full name on the title slide, ideally the course, the name of the course, the term that it's offered. Those two are not always required during the summer, but we should at least know who you are and when the course is being taken. This is our first presentation of the day. We will also do as we did yesterday from watching the course video a moment ago, examining your overall style, where you're placing the webcam, what is the ability in terms of the aesthetics with all of the slides, the font style, the text, the headlines, the color scheme, all of that comes into play. I will also experiment on occasion during the semester once we get into informative speaking next week with some of the presentations by placing them in closed captioning. For our first and second speakers today, I did experiment before class with closed captioning, which would look like this if I played it, but it does work. This is our first presenter of the day, making a dessert, and here we go.
Hello class, my name is Gabriel and today I will be presenting on how to bake a delicious box cake. And so let's just get into it. So you'll need some materials first, of course. You're going to need a whisk, a mixing bowl, and then a large mold, or you can use a small mold, but I personally use a big mold, and then an oven, of course. Then the ingredients that you are gonna have to need is gonna be the actual box cake. You can use any flavor. I personally made it strawberry this time because that's my mom's favorite. Then we have some vanilla instant pudding, which is gonna be a crucial ingredient. We have a stick of butter. Then we also gonna need 2 tablespoons of butter towards the end. That's for later. Then 1 cup of lukewarm milk, which is also crucial, and 3 eggs, 3 large eggs. And then don't just go in thinking you know everything. This process may take you some time to perfect or even get good at it. And then, yeah. And then there will be some instructions on the box. We're going to ignore those for a second because they use water and oil. And to make a better cake, we're going to use milk and butter instead. And so now we can actually add the cake mix. We can add the liquids first. So that's just what I do, and I think that's how it comes out together better. And this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like this yellow mess. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna look like that whenever it pops out the oven. And so now you can just mix. You just add the cake mix slowly. Like you can put a couple spoonfuls in there, and then start whisking. And then once that's gone, do some more until it's all gone. And then this is what it's going to look like. Now, after you mix the cake mix, stop right there and you need to put the oven to 350 so it preheats. And then you're going to add the instant pudding. The reason you want to do this is so the oven is already hot and the mix isn't like it doesn't rises because this instant pudding is going to make it really thick and really hard for you to make it into cake if you aren't quick. And so oven readiness. You need to get, after you mix everything, including the pudding, you need to go ahead and melt 2 tablespoons of butter. You're gonna then butter up the mold, and then it should look something like this to the right. After all the cake mix has been added, all the butter has been added, that's what it's gonna look like. And so now you just have to wait to bake. You can pop that in there for 30 minutes. Sometimes it's not ready in 30 minutes. You can add it a little bit 5 minutes. It's up to you. But just to make sure that your cake is ready, you can use the toothpick trick. So the toothpick trick shows if there's any more uncooked, uncooked batter. And so to the left, you can see that there's still uncooked batter, but to the right is where it's still uncooked. I'm sorry, it's really cooked. So there's nothing left on the toothpick. Maybe a little bit of crumbs if you try really hard to see. Now you can enjoy. Just kidding. And after, you have to wait for it to cool off. You need for it to cool off, because if you just go ahead and turn it over and take it out, it's just gonna fall apart and it's gonna be a mess. So you're gonna be sad, you're gonna have to clean it up. It's a stressful time for everybody, especially if you have like an event that you want to bring this cake to. Now you can enjoy. After you wait those usually 30 minutes, that's what I usually do. You can put it into a plate, a pastry container, anything that you want to cut it up into. And this is what it's supposed to look like. It should have this kind of brownish texture. The vanilla ones are going to have about the same color on the outside, not on the inside, obviously. The chocolate ones are going to be like this, but a little bit darker. I don't know about any other flavors. I've only tried vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. So there's that. And so, although your cake is made, you need to clean up, because making somebody else clean up your mess is the worst thing you could do. And so the nice thing about this recipe, you can put all the trash into the cake mix box. You can see here that I put the pudding mix, and then you can't see this, but at the bottom there's the eggshells that I used, and so and even the little wrappers that the mix comes in. And so this is a very useful cake mix. It's easy. Anybody can do it. I really recommend it. Tastes great, personally, especially because I made it. But anyways, I will catch you guys next time.
And I think the other thing I would do, I realize I'm an audience of one, but I am the audience that matters ultimately grade-wise. There's nothing wrong, as he indicated there at the end, to have a self-deprecating sense of humor, but keep in mind for all of you, it's probably helpful to have some kind of an official closing, such as thank you, so we know when you're done. And as I told you yesterday, just silently count to yourself 1001, 1002, 1003. Pretty obvious that Gabriel did that there. But talk about something in which we can see for the process what the final product looks like, and that's what he did. So let's go ahead and talk about his presentation for just a moment. On the bottom of the screen, please make certain that you take off the hide right here from Loom for the stop sharing or hide. Get rid of that. Again, it'll have no bearing on your grade right now. But in terms of the stylistic approach, remember that on the checklist, I've got design consistency, and he's that way all the way through. A nice style with the design for the color of the slides, the text, the headlines, the font, easy to read. But I think most importantly for all of you, how are you organizing any type of visual or any kind of text? Because the more you practice, you're going to see a word, a phrase, a happy face, and it's going to remind you of something. And that reminder of something is going to make you remain extemporaneous, because obviously you don't want to come across sounding as if you're reading something. I would much rather have you early in the semester struggle a little bit with your overall extemporaneous style rather than being too slick by referring to your notes, because it comes across that way. Does not come across as more spontaneous and natural. And most of your life, whenever you're conducting conversations, you want that thoughtfulness, that knowledgeability to come through. And I think for the most part, with what we've seen so far yesterday and today, that is coming through with all of you. Obviously, there are going to be some rough spots, or whenever you're watching it, it may have somewhat of a raw element to it. But early on, that's to be expected. The more that you practice, the more that you try to figure out what graphics, what text are going to help you to elucidate a topic clearly to an audience, it's going to be much more helpful with your style in the long run. And watching all of those takes that we do not see are also going to assist, as you see there, with Gabriel just looking at the camera, trying to make certain that your natural persona coming across as being authentic and poised comes through. And you can tell he's practiced because he has a relative ease in front of the camera. There are a couple of things that he's going to have to work on. I heard a couple of gonas and I heard a kinda, but those are all elements that can be addressed. Notice that I didn't say errors, issues that can be addressed in the future, because the more that you watch these, you'll realize, I'll pause, try to think of something else to say. So that's not any kind of issue whatsoever at this point. Let's go from back to front. And right now, it's still the same slide, but his eye contact has changed, and it appears he has placed some kind of an effect in the backdrop, whatever is appropriate, to make sure that you stand out in terms of the lighting. You'll recall at the end of yesterday's class session, I was actually experimenting with my own ring light because we want to make certain that all of you can be seen clearly on your webcam. So if you want to use something like this where you can see the whole face, or make it a little bit tighter, now it all depends upon the webcam and what your setup is, that would be appropriate as well. So continuing to move back, still looking in the direction of the camera. This was an attractive visual, and it looks like something that he took himself or took from an online source, because the final product is going to be proof of your knowledgeability of the topic, or it's certainly going to give you credibility as a speaker. Whenever you open that up, it's not discolored. It actually looks the way that the recipe is going to show, and that certainly is an attractive set of photos. Same thing here, going through the process, putting it in what looks like a bundt pan. Enjoy, quote, just kidding. Now, after waiting for your creation to be made a reality, you have to wait for it to cool down so you can turn it over in a platter to cut it into slices, or it will fall apart. I think for any of us who are novice bakers, he brings up a good point. You want to sample it so quickly, but you just have to have the discipline to set it outside, let it cool, walk away, and most importantly, in terms of content, always take photos for demonstrative speech. Moving back here, you can see the difference when you're putting in the wooden sticks to double check for the consistency, whether on the left-hand side the batter is not baked on the inside, or on the right-hand side when it comes out clean. Something like that helps. Notice he's got fewer bullet points, which is going to assist his conversational and extemporaneous approaches. Oven readiness, you've got the melted butter, the batter placed evenly in the mold, a good shot of the mix, and the colors when it is in the batter mode, and then later on what it looks like after it's been sliced and placed on a platter. The instant pudding mix will turn into pudding if you don't do this step efficiently. And of course, remember yesterday when we had the speech, I believe it was on the making a banana pudding cake, same thing in terms of just showing you photos of the process so you can visualize what it looks like. Don't go in thinking you know everything. Many times, depending upon where you are, if you don't follow the instructions and it doesn't come out looking like it did on the box, it might either be your fault or it was maybe someone else's whenever they were putting the instructions together on the box, because that matters as well. Still, eye contact consistent all the way through. For the cake mix, the eggs, the milk, the butter, all of the other ingredients, Any of this for a demonstrative speech can be taken from an online source, or if you want to put these together in your own manner, whatever is going to assist in remaining extemporaneous. Because right here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ingredients, and it goes back to the banana pudding cake because she had a graphic very similar to this. So just think about from the standpoint of reaching that 5.5-minute benchmark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lists of ingredients. And then over here, if there is anything else that you need to add or subtract, talk about or not talk about, it gives him as a speaker options. Because it's not always necessary that you list every last ingredient or at least verbally discuss them, but it gives you the opportunity to talk about a personal preference on a recipe or something you might add or subtract, because all of this goes into the realm of time management for the speech. Remember, from the syllabus, we're speaking from 5 to 7 minutes. Eye contact, relatively consistent. Same thing here. He's looking down at his computer, and there is a photo with what you're going to need for the materials before you actually fill it. And then we get back to the beginning of the speech. So keep in mind, we also did this yesterday. Let's, in real time, do a video replay of the first 30 to 45 seconds of the presentation, how he is setting up the topic and the transition into the next slide.
Hello class, my name is Gabriel and today I will be presenting on how to bake a delicious box cake. And so let's just get into it. So you'll need some materials first.
And something like that's appropriate. You don't have to be overly flowery in your prose, but it's important, especially in an online class, that not only do you identify yourself, 1, but then 2, you briefly explain what your topic is going to be about. And there don't have to be any additional rhetorical bells and whistles. Just go ahead and get into the topic. Let's go ahead and mute the audio. Let's go back to a little closer to the beginning. Let's go ahead and mute the audio and just play bits and pieces of this in real time. Now, I want you to pay attention to his eye contact. Something that I did yesterday is to, whenever I downloaded the video and was posting it on my website, actually watching it from Blackboard, as you saw a few minutes ago, I intentionally played it one time, the entire class with the audio down, and then played it once with the audio up, just checking my eye contact into the webcam. So this is something you should do too. You should know what you look like, what you sound like on all of those takes, and then whatever you send me, you're going to feel the most comfortable. Let's just play little bits and pieces of this in real time with the audio down, but let's put the closed captioning on. That silence was intentional. Look at his face. Where is it in relation to his laptop or the computer that he's using? Where is his webcam? On what occasions is he looking up? And then most importantly, from all of your standpoints in closed captioning, is he speaking in complete sentences? And for the most part, he is. For most of the speeches that we watch in the lead up to your presentations during the week, I always have closed captioning on because occasionally it will catch a dropped G or an but most importantly, are you speaking in complete sentences? In this case, we're going, contractions are certainly appropriate for conversational speech. Now let's move on to the middle portion. Do 2 things. Look at the closed captioning in the center, and then look at his face on the right. This is a symbiotic relationship between the delivery, between the visuals, between the content. So even something as basic as waiting to bake, 2 bullet points with an arrow leading over into those wooden sticks, checking for the consistency, whether the cake is done or not. All of that, including this slide now, when it is completed and taken out of the oven, all of these text materials and all of these graphic materials give you cues, CUES, on how I can remain personable and thoughtful and maintain, as you see here from him, eye contact. Let's take off the closed captioning, pause it, bring the audio back up, and go into the last 45 seconds and play it in real time.
Your cake is made, you need to clean up, because making somebody else clean up your mess is the worst thing you could do. And so the nice thing about this recipe, you can put all the trash into the cake mix box. You can see here that I put the pudding mix, and then you can't see this, but at the bottom there's the eggshells that I used, and so and even the little wrappers that the mix comes in. And so this is a very useful cake mix. It's easy, anybody can do it. I really recommend it. Tastes great, personally, especially because I made it.
Now, before he wraps it up, also keep in mind that right next to him, he's placed the timer. So he doesn't have to look around on the screen, because you can place it in any area you want. Oftentimes, whenever we're watching speeches from classes gone by, they'll have it right here in this portion of the screen. I would probably just do what felt most comfortable. If I'm in the class like this, I'm going to take all of my graphics for the webcam and experiment with the size of my webcam like he did, and put it in the upper right hand corner, and then probably put the timer someplace over here on the side. But that's me. Your mileage may vary. Let's get into the last 7 seconds.
But anyways, I will catch you guys next time.
And then a smile, but I would probably say thank you to indicate that the presentation is over. That's what I see, as you're well aware from yesterday. Whenever I open up the tab, this is what I see, and then I will check it, play the video, play the audio to make sure it works, have a rough idea of what the time is, and then I'll go on to the next presentation. So what you just saw me do with our first presenter today is similar to what we were doing yesterday. And it's something that all of you should consider incorporating into your respective speech self-critiques. When you get done with a take, first of all, you take a sigh of relief and think, oh my goodness, I'm glad that's over. But then you go back and watch. And whenever I say you're critical or you're utilizing constructive criticism, I always mean it not from a negative standpoint, but from a positive standpoint. What am I doing well? What can I improve on? For all of you, I take notes. So I might see from yesterday. Now these are all from yesterday. Gonna, nervous habits, like, okay, drop G's, like more than once, wanna. Now those are all notes from yesterday, but I don't view it from a negative standpoint, and I don't call them errors. They're issues to be addressed, because once you know where those issues are coming, you can pause, work on an overall smoothness. You're going to, as I said yesterday, look back on the demonstrative speeches when you're working on the persuasives in 2 weeks or the wild cards the last week of class, and think, I have come so far with my overall improvement as a researcher and as a speaker. But you have to start somewhere. And I think what we saw yesterday got us off to a positive start, as was today. I thought he did some good things with his overall presentation. And for all of you, those grades will be posted in the grade center on Blackboard, probably sometime late on Sunday evening. So that brings us to our second presenter of the day. And this is also a cooking related speech. You'll remember we had a presentation yesterday, which was, I believe, savory, and we also had dessert. Well, it's the same thing here. We start off We start off with a dessert, and now we are going to something that is savory. Our second presentation of the day is how to make a lasagna. And for a lot of you, we'll be going through a breakdown of your speech afterward. But again, I'm looking at it from a positive standpoint. I don't look at this and try to pick it apart. I'm looking at it from the standpoint on how all of you can improve. Remember, the glass is half full, and literally I'm looking off to the side, and my glass is more than half full. So we will move on to Ms. Vickers and how to make lasagna. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Zamari Vickers, and I will be doing my demonstration project on how to make lasagna. First thing you'll need is a large skillet, a drain, and foil. The ingredients are 1 pound of ground beef, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 medium onion, you need to chop that up, 2 tablespoons of McCormick, a hint of sea salt, Napoleon pizza seasoning, 1½ teaspoons of sugar, a teaspoon of McCormick garlic powder, ½ teaspoon of salt, which is optional, 2 cans of 28-ounce each crushed tomatoes, 1 can 14½ ounces of diced tomatoes, 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, ½ cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 container 32-ounce ricotta cheese, 2 cups shredded mozzarella cheese, ½ cup of Parmesan cheese, and 2 eggs. You need to lightly beaten those 2 eggs. 2 tablespoons of McCormick sea salt, Napoleon pizza seasoning for the meat sauce. ½ teaspoon of McCormick Gorse ground black pepper, 1 package 8-ounce no-boil lasagna noodles. The prep time will take around 20 minutes. The cook time will take around 1 hour and 25 minutes, so be cautious of that. The instructions are preheat oven to 375 degrees. For the meat sauce, brown your meat in the large skillet. Remove meat from the skillet and drain it and set aside. Heat oil. Add onion, seasoning, sugar, garlic powder, salt, if desired. Cook and stir 5 to 10 minutes until onions are softened. Step 2. Stir in crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, and Parmesan cheese. Bring to a boil. Reduce heat to medium-low. Simmer 20 minutes. Remove from heat. Return beef to skillet and stir into sauce. Set that aside. Step 3. Meanwhile, in the lasagna, mix ricotta cheese, 1½ cups of mozzarella cheese, and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, eggs, seasoning, salt, if desired, and pepper in a large bowl. Step 4. Spread 1½ cups of the sauce in bottom of 13 by 9 inch baking sheet. Top with 1/4 of lasagna noodles. Spread 1/3 of cheese mixture over noodles. Top with 1½ cups of sauce. Repeat layers 2 more times, ending with a layer of pasta and remaining sauce. Spray one side of the large sheet of foil with no stick cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray. Cover lasagna with foil, spray side down. Step 5. Bake 35 minutes, remove foil, top with remaining 1½ cups of mozzarella and 1/4 cups of Parmesan cheese. Increase oven temperature to 475 degrees. Bake 15 minutes longer or until your cheese is the color that you want it to be. Then take it out of the oven and let stand for 15 minutes before serving. Thank you and enjoy.
And that is the end of her presentation. This is so unfair to all of us who are doing this live. In the same way, you'll recall yesterday, at the end of the banana pudding cake demonstrative speech, like this, the entire screen is full of banana pudding cake photos. Same thing here. Good lasagna occasionally can be really, really hard to find, but whenever you do find it and it looks anything like that final product, that's going to give you a large amount of credibility as a speaker. And also notice she's looking at the camera and smiling. Let your personality come through. There is nothing wrong ethically with being shameless on camera at the end of a graded presentation. You put a lot of time and effort into this. They may not be perfect, but it's something that ideally you should be proud of because we go through these minute by minute, point by point during class. So that is the end of her presentation, looking directly at the camera. Now let's look at this stylistically. She's got her visual from the webcam in the upper right-hand corner, and she's placed the timer right next to it. Now think about what Gabe did with his presentation. Basically, he did the same thing, but in reverse. He had his visual from the webcam in the bottom portion of the screen with his timer next to it. So this is the same thing. Whatever works best for you in terms of time management, being right around 5 minutes. He was over 5 minutes. She's right at 5 minutes. So as long as you're doing that, it's okay. If you're taking this during a fall or a spring semester, you usually get a free 28 to 30-day period where your videos can be as long as you want them to be. But after that free subscription period is over, you can still have a free account, but you can only record for 5 minutes. But in this case, she was right on time. So thank you for listening and enjoy. Now let's go ahead. Let's pay attention to her visuals and her eye contact as we scroll back. I think the one thing that I would do here is don't feel like you have to read every last item on the slide. If there is anything that you or your family members do when you're cooking that put a particular twist on the recipe, that's certainly appropriate. Putting everything on it like this in terms of a recipe is fine, but don't feel compelled to always read every last item. If there's anything in here, for instance, there are a number of people I know who hate ricotta cheese, and they may either eliminate it or use something else. But anything here in terms of tweaking the recipe would be appropriate to be extemporaneous about or go off the script, so to speak. But understanding what the prep time is and the cook time is really helpful because a lot of people wouldn't understandably know that you get this at a restaurant and it comes out to you, but if you make it at home, there are many, literally and figuratively, layers of preparing lasagna. Look at her eye contact, same thing as she is referring to her notes, making a conscious effort to remain extemporaneous, looking in the direction of the camera, and she's got a nice tight shot on the webcam, and that's where all of you can experiment because you can make this larger or smaller depending how much dead space is going to be on the slide. Still continuing to maintain that posture toward the camera, still looking at the slide for the instructions, and then we get into the ingredients. Same thing here. Having all of the ingredients and photos of some of the ingredients is certainly appropriate, because she's not going to mention all of the cheeses or all of the spices, but it gives her options. She uses McCormick seasonings. Somebody may use the generic Walmart seasoning or something that you can buy from a mom and pop grocery store. Anything like this is really helpful to visualize what it's like when you make it. And if she had wanted to, she could have incorporated, like we saw earlier this week with the demonstrative speech from the international student Shimiso on making sadza, S-A-D-Z-A, out of cornmeal. She could have found some type of video online, or Gabe could have found something related to the cake, some type of video online of someone actually preparing it. And that's why I snuck in a quick video yesterday of the young lady who was making the Philly cheesesteak sloppy joes, because if you wanted to add something like that yourself for a unique visual twist, it would be appropriate. Eye contact, still consistent all the way through. Same thing here, smiling toward the camera at the beginning. And let's go right back and do exactly with her the same thing that we did with our first presenter. Put it in closed captioning and check on a couple of occasions during the speech. And let's go ahead and mute the audio as well. Let's check the closed captioning for complete sentence structure. Notice how she's looking at the camera. Very attractive visuals for the title slide. Don't ever minimize the importance of a title slide, because if this winds up on the website, you want to make certain that you get credit and people know who you are with the first and the last name and when you took the course. Summer 1, 2022. So far, so good with each of our speakers, with the closed captioning, with a relatively consistent closed captioning complete sentence structure. I had indicated during a previous class session that the artificial intelligence for closed captioning with either YouTube or Loom is actually pretty good, but on occasion it may not necessarily read everything correctly. But in this case, it's doing a pretty good job of relating all of the ingredients. So now let's move to the midpoint of the speech. Be cautious. That's a good point that she brings up. Why is it important to do a video breakdown of a speech, like a highlight package for a sports program? That's how you learn. Not necessarily becoming a caricature of yourself, but what do you look like on camera? Her posture remains intact. She and Gabriel both come across as confident, so you know they have practiced. Now it's a matter, coming up on 3 minutes, that you don't rush, that you're relatively consistent all the way through. And then whenever we pick up the audio, are we trying to stay away from vocalics, drop G's, or issues with grammar?
Beef to skillet and stir into sauce. Set that aside. Step 3. Meanwhile, in the lasagna, mix ricotta cheese, 1½ cups of mozzarella cheese, and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, eggs, seasoning, salt, if desired, and pepper in a large bowl.
Now let's go to the end of her speech and leave the closed captioning on.
15 minutes longer, or until your cheese is the color that you want it to be. Then take it out of the oven and let stand for 15 minutes before serving. Thank you and enjoy.
Now, both of our presenters, and that's what I want to see, the smile at the end of the speech, and I'll leave the cursor right there. Let us know that you have an identifiable personality, that you are likable, that you are believable when you are talking about your process. And again, having a quality set of visuals here is extremely helpful to maximize your credibility as a speaker. Doesn't matter whether you took it from an online source. Some of you are going to use, as you've seen in preparations for this week's demonstrative speech, anything related to cooking, oftentimes can potentially be a combination of something that you took and posted on a social media account, or something that came from an online recipe source. Certainly appropriate. Let's go ahead and minimize it. As we saw with our first presentation, that's what it looks like when you send it to me. And then whenever we go full screen and play it in class, that's what everyone else is going to see. So we, like yesterday, are off to a positive start. Oftentimes, if we are being honest, we will watch ourselves on video, and I've done this more than 450 times since the pandemic, just doing stuff online. But my background is in mass communication and radio and television and broadcast journalism and public speaking, being a debate coach in graduate school, being involved in public speaking or speech events in high school and college. So I feel very comfortable in front of the camera, but many of you don't. Going through those videos in the middle of the night when no one else sees them helps all of you so much. What do I look like on camera? Where do I have a dead spot? Uh-oh, in my practice, I had a vocalic. I had a drop G. How can I clean all of that up? As I had indicated, we were watching all of the speeches. In time, you'll go back and look at something that you did this week and think, there's so many things that I could have done better. But that's how you improve. You use the camera as your best friend. The way our first speaker put his graphics together could be totally different than our second speaker, but they can be equally effective because one may be more extemporaneous based on text-based information. Our second speaker may feel more comfortable being extemporaneous where the conversationality flows through graphics-based information, whatever works for you. Our third presenter of the day, but I think they both have done a commendable job, and that's nice to see. Our third presenter of the day, we move away from cooking and go to crafting for a topic. This is on how to make your own soap. It's a little light in terms of time, but let's go ahead and play it. And as we have with our other two contestants so far today, and with what we had yesterday, let's check on the overall stylistic approach. How to make your own soap.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Pearson, and today I will be verbally demonstrating on how to make your own homemade soap with a PowerPoint and photos. Why make your own soap, you may ask? Same reason why people make their own deodorant. Health benefits. Most store-bought products contain harmful ingredients to the skin, and by choosing your own ingredients, you can choose healthier ingredients for your skin. Also, choosing your own ingredients can determine on what your soap does to your body, such as getting rid of acne, better clean, or just a better scent. Let's go ahead and go to your ingredients. Your first ingredient is 100% sodium hydroxide. 2, your own scent, such as lemon zest, honey and milk, or essential oils, etc. 3, any type of distilled water that your store carries. 3, oils, such as olive oil and or coconut oil. You can use more than one oil. It does not just have to be one. Number 1, step 1, weigh out everything. With a digital scale, you get an accurate read, and with a measuring cup to measure out your ingredient. A, using a measuring cup, pour in your distilled water. Then B, measure out the sodium hydroxide. C, then do the same with measuring your oil in a separate cup. D, slowly combine lye into water, never the other way around. Always lye into water, never water into lye. And while you're combining these two ingredients, you will have to make sure you do not inhale, do not stand close, because that is very toxic to the body. Then E, stir very gently. Step 2, then gently heat your oils to at least 110 degrees and wait for your soap to properly set. Step 4, which is supposed to be step 3, gently pour your lye into an oil, then blend. Then stir your substance until it's a thick and creamy look visual. Usually people compare the visual to like egg yolks being stirred together. On step 3, first 5 to 10 minutes, you want to mix the substance with your hands. Step 4, pour your soap into your choice of molds. As you see by the picture, they use a heart mold. You can use any shape you like. Then wrap with plastic on it and let it sit for 1 to 2 days. Then step 5, your final step, put your soaps into a rack and then let the air circulate all the soaps to let it really sit inner and outer. That is all for this video. Thank you for listening, and I hope you make your own homemade soaps at home.
It certainly is interesting how you can put a crafting speech together. And I would tell all of you, always remember that similar to a presentation that we saw earlier in the week, always make certain that you go to the slideshow mode and put it into the slideshow so we get rid of looking at all of the slides. Always remember that. Slideshow from beginning, then we have a full screen, and still she's got a larger version of her webcam, which I really like, in the upper right hand corner, because that gives you credibility. So she looks very professional over there. But in this particular case, again, what you'll want to do is go slideshow from beginning. Everything becomes widescreen, and you can go on from there. This is very similar to the speech that we saw on what it is like to be a sports mascot. She had done the same thing where all of her slides never left. So always double check on that. Let's go from back to front. And also, you'll want to make certain that if there are any personal stories that you can add, because she's got 8 slides, go ahead and take your time on all of these slides. Little things like, you'll notice there's a little bit of burnt edge soap here. Some of the rest of them are pristine. How does that happen? What can you do to create an artistic touch for all of them? How much does it cost? How did you become involved in the process? Everything like that is going to help you fill the time. So time management does come into play whenever I ask for a presentation to be 5 minutes and it's a little over 3. Just don't feel like with all of these slides you ever have to rush. But that's the final step. Looking directly at the camera. Again, I like the way that she's got her visual set up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. I'd probably, just for user's sake, I'd probably put the timer directly underneath over here so I don't have to search from one end to another looking for the exact time. And then there's step 4. Now, that actually looks like a candy mold. It's so artistically done. The mold being placed directly on top of the soap itself. And this is where a personal story would come in handy. Again, being conversational. And I really like the lighting. You can tell a lot of thought and effort went into putting that together, and the slides, but just don't feel like you have to rush. Step 4, pouring the lye into the oils. Again, making it easy for us to visualize the process. Same thing here. And then I see step 4, but I don't see step 2. And this is also similar to what we had with the mascot speech. If you go back and watch the course video, I'm playing with the cursor because over on this side, I can see a graphic that is photo based, and I could not access it. And it looks like the way that this is set up that step 3 may have been glossed over because we go from step 4, and I don't see step 3. It goes to step 2. Heat the oils to 110 degrees using the digital thermometer, a useful visual tool. Step 1, using the measuring cup, using the sodium hydroxide in terms of measuring, because obviously if you don't do this right, it's certainly not going to be a final recipe of soap that anyone could identify whenever they looked at it. Eye contact, still consistent. Now here you can see her personality coming through. Probably would tighten up the shot just a little bit because there's a lot of wasted space on top. With the ingredients, very attractive aesthetic style in terms of the overall consistency with the style that the person puts together for the graphics, for the headlines, and for the bullet points, in this case being numbered. And why make your own soap? There are a lot of people that can't necessarily go to the store and buy soap. They may have some type of allergic reaction, or there's just something to store-bought that they can't use. And there she is, again, remaining extemporaneous. How to make your own soap.
Demonstrating on how to make your own homemade soap.
Let's go ahead and pause it and do the same thing. Put it in closed captioning. Check out her eye contact.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Pearson, and today I will be verbally demonstrating.
Make sure this is muted. Now it's in closed captioning. And let's just check out from a nonverbal perspective with the audio down. Does she have an extemporaneous introduction? Does she have a nice transition into the first main point? And the answer to each question is yes. And then she talks about some of the benefits. Everyone so far, yesterday and today, are speaking for the most part incomplete sentences. The issue, obviously, in this case, is going through the data just a little bit too quick, because with a minimum of 5 minutes, you'll always want to make certain that in one way or another, with all of these attractive graphics, that you find a way to fill the time. Now let's hold on a second from ingredients to see whether or not there is a visual on the left-hand side that is skipped over, because remember, ideally we're going to put this into slideshow from beginning, and we won't see any of this during the presentation. So let's go, there's step 1. Still on step 1. There's step 2. And then in real time, we go from 2 to 4. So again, I'm missing step 3. But this is where, if you haven't used Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides before, just go ahead and practice in the slideshow mode, going back and forth, and then incorporate your face and continue to practice. For all of you, you will feel very comfortable in time. Let's pause it. And we are at the 2-minute, 29-minute mark. Let's pick up the audio and watch the rest of her speech with the closed captioning on.
First 5 to 10 minutes, you want to mix the substance with your hands. Step 4, pour your soap into your choice of molds. As you see by the picture, they use a heart mold. You can use any shape you like. Then wrap with plastic on and let it sit for 1 to 2 days. Then step 5, your final step, put your soaps into a rack and then let the air circulate all the soaps to let it really sit inner and outer. That is all for this video. Thank you for listening, and I hope you make your own homemade soaps at home.
I think she got in a y'all at the end of the presentation. But let's just take a look at her eye contact at the end. Her overall persona on camera is confident, is positive, is knowledgeable. I just want more of it to get to 5 minutes. And that's where all of you always need to sneak a peek. In her case, probably would have been a good idea to take the timer and put it over here so you can just sneak a peek directly down, because you know where your webcam is. You sneak a peek down, see where you are time-wise, and make certain that, again, the slideshow mode is on so we don't see the slides. In this case, it's not going to have a bearing on your grade, but I also want to see your name on the title slide. Don't make it anonymous. We want to know who you are so you get credit for the quality of your work. So you want to make certain that your full first and second name are right there. So those are 3 presentations for the day. I should indicate that while I have one more presentation ready to go that I will be playing shortly, I have a couple of others, one that was sent to my SAU address during class, because on occasion, those of you who are with me live will see that I'm doing a couple of other things. I'm always double checking during class. Some of you may have a connectivity issue and are sending me something during class. I have 2 outlines that I will show you before the end of class that are in my email file that don't have a video associated with them. One that I just got during class today and one that I showed you during class yesterday, but I can't play them because there is no audio or video that are associated with them. But that brings us to our 4th presenter for the day. And oftentimes, if you haven't used Loom, it won't look exactly the way that you anticipated. But I'll go ahead and play this, and I will show you what this looks like. And I should indicate for the person who sent it to me, this has happened before. So we'll go ahead and play this. It'll have no bearing on your grade. I believe this is an audio-based presentation. Whenever I download it, it looks like this. I'm wondering, because you saw little bits and pieces of something from last year, which was how to create pageant hair, different types of hair for beauty pageants, and it looked like this. I don't know whether it looks like this because somebody may be sending it to me on their cell phone. I don't know. But you'll always want to check your outgoing email file to make certain that this is actually something that fills the screen in the same way as everyone else's does. So let's go ahead and play this. It is a demonstrative presentation, how to make brownies.
Hi, my name is Alexis Martin, and I'm going to demonstrate how to make brownies in this demonstrative presentation. Okay, so you want to get your utensils ready as the images here on my presentation. You want to have measuring cups, you want to have your whisk and your spatula, a mixing bowl, and you want a 13x9 baking pan. Ingredients, you want your box of brownie mix. It can be any kind that you would like. And you need vegetable oil, you need cooking spray oil, 2 eggs, and water. Okay, now in this first phase or first step, we're going to prep for our mixture. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees and spray your baking pan with your cooking spray oil at least a foot away to make sure that the pan is coated. So whenever you pour your raw brownie mix into your pan, you want to make sure that it is not sticking onto the pan as you're cutting your pieces out. And for measurements, we have 1/4 cup of water and then 1/2 cup of vegetable oil ready in the separate measuring cups. And for your extra ingredients, you want to crack 2 eggs into your small bowl. And then your brownie mix, you want to pour the dry brownie mix into your big mixing bowl. Okay, now we're in phase 2 or step 2 in creating our raw brownie mix. So you want to stir up your brownie mix, your raw brownie mix, the dry one, to make sure that there's no lumps or big clumps of the dry brownie mix as you're mixing all your ingredients together. Pour your vegetable oil, your water, and your cracked eggs into the dry mixing bowl. And you want to stir until it's blended all the way through, just like the image here. You don't want any lumps, to make sure that the brownie mix is cooked all the way through and no dry brownie mix is cooked inside with the raw brownie mix. All right, now we're in step 3 of our baking brownie mix. You want to pour your raw brownie mix into your baking pan, and as you're pouring it, you want to grab your spatula, and the spatula is needed to scrape all the rest of the raw brownie mix into your baking pan to make sure that we have all of it inside the baking pan. And you want to make sure that it's spread evenly so it's not unleveled inside the the baking pan. You want to set your time after you're done with that for 28 to 30 minutes to cook. And after the baking time is over, you want to carefully take out the baking pan with baking mix. And you want to use a toothpick to check if your brownie mix is cooked all the way through. So you want to poke in the inside, and if brownie mix rises as you pull out the toothpick on the side of the toothpick, you need to put it back in the oven for at least 5 minutes max to make sure that the brownie mix is cooked all the way through. And after you pull that out, and check again with your toothpick to see if the brownie mix is cooked all the way through. And if it's cooked all the way through, leave your brownie mix out for 15 minutes max to make sure that it's cooled all the way through and ready to serve. And I hope you enjoyed my demonstrative presentation on how to fix brownies.
So again, now at the end of the presentation, you'll want to say thank you. I don't know why it comes in sideways, but if you send it to me, I'm going to play it. To be fair, I will grade it based on the quality of the delivery and the quality of the graphics. But it is sideways, and I will not give you any grief on that right now, because in time you will learn. But whenever we play to the end, is it coming back? Yeah, okay. This is where all of you have to be aware. If you're, I don't know whether or not it's going to format the same way if you send it to me on your phone. You really need to make certain, if that was the case here, you really need to make certain that you are sending it to me by your computer. Some of you may want to experiment with this, but always double check, because obviously sending it sideways is not a plus. Let's go ahead and just replay that and see what happens.
Hi, my name is Alexis Martin.
So again, it looks like this is being sent. It's being sent on a phone, and of course, for most of you, if you send something on a phone, it would automatically format into a style where you would turn your phone sideways, but obviously we can't do that here. See? So it actually is full screen, but it's full screen on a phone. So please make certain that you send it on a computer. Let's go ahead and double check, because this is audio only. Let's double check the closed captioning. Perfect example of what I'm talking about right here. I like her graphics and the fact that she's putting them together in such a colorful way, but sending it on a phone, obviously in this case, is not a plus, because we're not playing it back on a phone, and we can't turn the computer sideways, the monitor. Closed captioning, let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Alexis Martin, and I'm going to demonstrate how to make brownies in this demonstrative presentation. Okay, so you want to get your utensils ready as the images here on my presentation. You want to have measuring cups, you want to have your whisk and your spatula, a mixing bowl, and you want a 13x9 baking pan.
Now, in real time, I have muted the audio. She's got very attractive graphics with all of the ingredients that you need. The design consistency is excellent all the way through. I told you earlier this week, there are some people that don't have access to a webcam and we'll just do it by audio. Those include the preparations for mixture. Again, speaking for the most part in complete sentence structure, but there are a couple of things that she needs to work on. And if you are watching this after the fact, which I hope you are, please make yourself aware of the following. Wanna. You had quite a few instances of saying wanna during the presentation. I heard that, okay, and all right, but in particular, pay very close attention to eliminate the wannas. But an excellent job of creating quality graphics and transitions, but send it by your computer. Let's pick up some of the audio near the end.
You need to put it back in the oven for at least 5 minutes max to make sure that the brownie mix is cooked all the way through. And after you pull that out, and check again with your toothpick to see if the brownie mix is cooked all the way through. And if it's cooked all the way through, leave your brownie mix out for 15 minutes max to make sure that it's cooled all the way through and ready to serve. And I hope you enjoyed my demonstrative presentation on how to fix brownies.
This is actually very instructive. Let's watch that again. Notice what happens when you send it on a phone. If we're watching these on a phone, or if I'm conducting class on a phone, this is fine. Really excellent graphics. Send them on your computer.
Through, and if it's cooked all the way through, leave your brownie mix out for 15 minutes max to make sure that it's cooled all the way through and ready to serve. And I hope you enjoyed my demonstrative presentation on how to fix brownies.
Okay, Lexi, I'm leaving this on the screen right now, but I'm going to make a deal with you, and I'm going to put myself back up on the screen. I want you to please do me a favor. Send this to me one more time from your computer. And sometime on Monday, I will play your presentation again in class. It's put together quite well. And again, some of you are using audio in my classes on occasion rather than camera. But send it to me again. And then for the record, during a recorded class session, we can see what it looks like. But I did want everyone to examine the presentations that were sent to me today, because I do like what I'm seeing so far from all of you. There are elements to improve on. We do have a late arrival. This came to my SAU address. I literally got this in the last couple of minutes. I had mentioned during the week that on occasion, sometimes people have issues with connectivity. And while we're recording live, and many of you notice that I'm looking backwards and forwards because I like Google Drive. I have a number of tabs up on my screen. And of course, with my media background, I feel like I'm directing a television program every day anyway. This is Braceland, and I'm going to put her on the screen. Literally just got this. And she is going to demonstrate the process on how to change a flat tire. So this will be our final presentation of the day unless something arrives in my email. But as of right now, Braceland had sent me earlier the PowerPoint that is related to this presentation. Our final speech of the day, here we go.
Hey, my name is Bryson Glover, and I will be doing my demonstration speech over how to change a flat tire. This can be very useful in emergency situations such as one just coming about, or if you just don't want to take your car to the shop, you just want to change your tire on your own. So some items that you mainly need or just need is a jack, a wrench, and a spare tire. Those are just like basic things that you need. But additional items that can come in handy are gloves, flashlights, the owner's manual for the car, and a tire gauge. Step one, you want to find a place to pull over, a safe place to pull over. So you should choose a non-busy, flat, solid surface area. So therefore your car won't like roll down or roll backwards, like down the hill or something if you're parked on the hill. And you want to make sure that you pull as far away from the road as you possibly can. So therefore cars going or coming won't be like an effect to you changing the tire. So step two, you want to turn on your hazard lights and your parking brake. Your hazard lights are always going to be the little red little triangle thing. It's different, like in different places, different cars, but most likely it's the same symbol. And the parking brake, it varies in different cars. Most like older model cars have it beside the seat, as you can see in the picture, but most newer model cars have it under the like by the pedal. It's the extra pedal down there, and that would be the parking brake. And you want to be sure to pull that down, so the car is like not moving at all. Step four, you want to loosen the lug nuts. So you want to use your wrench to place it onto a lug nut tightly, and then turn it counterclockwise to loosen it. And you want to loosen every lug nut. But like at this step, you don't want to completely take the lug nuts off. You just want to loosen them so they're not as tight. Step five, you want to lift the vehicle off the ground. So you want to place the jack under the middle portion of the vehicle's frame. You should use your owner's manual as a guide for this step. Most likely the owner's manual will tell you a lot about this spot, so that's why it will come in handy. But if not, then you just want to place the jack under the car, the middle portion of the vehicle frame. And once it's on there properly, use the jack to raise the tire you're changing off the ground. So you want to use it like, and it's like a pumping. Some of them are like step jacks, and then some are pumping. But you want to just raise the tire, the side of the tire off the ground. Step four, you want to remove the lug nuts and the tire. So now you need to take the lug nuts off completely. Like how you loosen them, you want to go on and loosen them and take them off. And this will result in the tire being unattached to the car. So the tire is no longer in place of the car. The lug nuts was holding the tire in place. So the tire is no longer attached to the car at all. So now you want to securely grip your tire and pull it towards your body, removing it. So now you want to take the tire completely off. So now the tire is completely off, the lug nuts, and you want to be sure to keep those in like a safe spot, like, keep them all together so you won't lose any, because you will need these lug nuts for the spare tire. So step seven, you want to place the spare tire on the car. So line up the wheels with the line up the holes with the lug nuts post and place spare on the wheelbase. So you want to make sure that all the holes in the tire are lined up with the lug nut spots, like where the lug nuts will go. So they can be on the same frame or whatever. And then put the spare on the wheelbase. Step 8, you want to replace the lug nuts. So you want to place the lug nuts into the spare tire with the wrench, turn it clockwise, but not secure them tightly. So now you want to place the lug nuts back onto the tire in the right position, and you want to use your wrench to turn them clockwise. Not now, instead of counterclockwise, you want to turn them clockwise, but you don't want to do them tightly. You only want to go a little bit. You don't want to secure them tightly just yet. So step 9, you want to lower your vehicle and begin tightening. So slowly use your jack to lower your vehicle until the spare tire starts to touch the ground. So when the spare tire starts touching the ground, you don't want to completely lower your vehicle. You just want to do it to where the tire starts touching the ground. And then you begin tightening the lug nuts, but not completely yet. So you want to begin tightening them, but you still don't want to tie them securely just yet. So step 10, you want to lower the vehicle completely and finish tightening. So once the lug nuts feel secured, completely lower the vehicle. So now you can finish tightening the lug nuts. Make sure they're really tight before lowering the vehicle completely, because the lug nuts are the things that are keeping your tires in place. So you want to make sure that those are really tight and secure. And then after that, you can lower the vehicle completely. You're done. You have learned how to. And congratulations, you now know how to change a flat tire in case of emergency. So, yeah, you can drive off safely and, put your tools up, put your tire up, and yeah, you're done.
Probably the best thing to do is find a place on the screen where you feel relatively comfortable and leave it there rather than moving it during the speech itself. It all depends upon the circumstances. The other thing I would check in terms of the way that you are approaching this on camera, Braceland, is to make certain that you move your hand away from your face so we can see your shining visage as you were talking about the process. You're very conversational. Your personality is obviously there. Now there are elements related to grammar that you will have to work on. Wanna, gonna, like, and I heard on a few occasions. And then from a stylistic approach, and I don't know if you can see this, but on occasion, the cursor, her cursor, whenever she gave the presentation, her cursor would be on the webcam. Always make certain that you take the cursor away. And also, as much as possible, move the hand away from your face and make sure that you're looking into the camera as much as possible. That being said, I like this topic for a demonstrative speech. We've had it before in both a face-to-face setting where it was analog, where somebody actually brought in a tire, and in online classes, because not everybody knows how to change a tire. Not everybody knows that in any of these tires, those that are on the vehicle or anything being changed, the importance of PSI, how much air is actually in a tire. And just because you have a flat tire doesn't necessarily mean that it's ready to go, or it may be relatively flat itself, which is why so many people have portable air compressors somewhere in their cars, just like at the in and out oil change joints like Jiffy Lube, or what they have in Magnolia with the Express Lube. You'll also always want to make certain that little things like tire pressure come into play, because those emergencies are named that way for a reason. And maybe there are some people who don't necessarily exhibit common sense. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where her personality is coming through. But I would be aware of the hands so they don't get in the way of your face. And don't put it up to your chin either. There we are placing the lug nuts. We're moving the steps in reverse order. She did a nice job of being very basic with her setup, because that's where the extemporaneous quality is going to remain consistent. She was that way all the way through. That is a perfect example. My cursor is outside the circle, if you can see it. Her cursor is actually frozen in place, and that's why you don't want anything to distract yourself or distract the audience. Perfect example of what I'm talking about with the webcam there. Talking about the subject, feeling very comfortable. Practice before you start. I'd probably put all of the slides exactly the way I want them, and then experiment. If you're going to use this font style, maybe I should take the graphic and lower it to a different part
You're changing off the
of the
ground.
screen.
So
And there she is talking, very expressive with her hands. I'd like you to look in the direction of the webcam a little bit more, but you're off to a positive start. You go from step 5, step 4, step 2, where is step 3? Step 4, and then step 2. It's like the last presentation, we're missing a step. Turn on the hazard light. Step 1. Now this is where you need to move the graphic, because we can't see it. All of you are going to feel more comfortable with this as time goes on, but just remember, you can do this one of two ways. You can think, I'm going to have my visual, my webcam in the upper right hand portion of the screen, and then I will work the headlines and the text around it. But as we move on during the term, that should not come into play. Items you need, I like the fact that she's got so much information here. You've got 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different items on 12 different items on that slide alone. Let's go back to the beginning for just a moment. Now, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Always make certain that if you're going to use this font style, especially for the title slide, we need to be able to read the slides. So in that particular case, the more that you practice, and I'm glad that you put your name in the course on there, that's nice to see. But that's where the experimentation is going to come in handy. You get wide leeway during the first week of this class from me. Not only in terms of time management, if you had a problem putting something together, we can always play them at the end of class on Monday for the demonstrative presentations only. But now you just start to experiment. What do my graphics look like? How can I change this where if I'm going to keep my graphic here, I make this maybe into 2 lines, or I make how to change on 1 line, a flat tire on the second. The aesthetics are an important part of this, and you'll learn that as time goes on. Quick check of the complete sentence structure with the audio down. There we go. That's what I want to see. Do it just like that, but do it, there you go, before. That's fine. In closed captioning. As you can tell, the closed captioning does not necessarily always capture your name exact, but it's so helpful when you alone are watching these. Am I speaking incomplete sentences? Does my organizational structure make sense? Because if it does, then my delivery style is going to be that much more effective. There's no problem here with her time management because she's 6.5 minutes. All of you are going to have certain elements as we just scroll through that you need to work on. I'm no different as a professor, which is why I indicated earlier this afternoon, I had watched yesterday's class session twice, once with the audio up and once with the audio down. Because the nonverbals, as you can see, whenever you're watching yourself on camera, sometimes you might cringe and think, oh, where are my hands? Now I know that. Oh, where's my cursor? Now, of course, all of that being said, she does a very nice job in coming across as being knowledgeable and likable. Let your personality come out on camera. Now, she did drop a there. Let's get to the last few moments of the presentation. This is the last 25 seconds of the speech. There, notice she's smiling. So not only pay attention to the presentation with the audio up, but also play it, move the cursor, Gracelyn, play it with the audio down. Fill the screen with your face. Find a location on the slide that feels most comfortable. Now you're at the end of the speech and you can see you're smiling as it goes to somewhat of a transparency effect. And whenever I access this, as you're well aware, that's what I see. I'm going to leave it there for the time being and go back to my inbox and check the spam. To the best of my knowledge, everything has been sent to me. And once we complete class, we will return. Let me check my SAU email one more time before we come back to me. And right now, to the best of my knowledge, everything that's been sent to me, other than one presentation, has been delivered. I will leave it on me for the time being. I'll double check my email. The only person who is not presented, and I'll show you this, I put this up at the end of class yesterday. This is the only person who has sent me something that you have not seen or heard. This is from Ms. Easter on the demonstrative speech. You'll recall that visual where she said she was uploading the visual. And I can tell you at the end of class, I've been checking my spam in Yahoo. I've been checking my email there and at SAU, and I don't have it yet. I have a couple of bits of interactivity, and then we will conclude the proceedings for the week. I try to be as positive as possible with the constructive criticism. There are things that people need to work on with content, with delivery, with visuals, but they're all correctable. Just as what we saw with our last speaker, putting your hand up against your chin or moving the cursor away from the webcam, all of those are easily correctable in the next month. What I want all of you to consider, though, is what was I doing with all of your presentations? Putting them in closed captioning to check for a complete sentence structure, muting the audio to see how you're coming across as a public speaker, doing an analysis of your slides, the text, the graphics, whether or not all of those are going to assist each of you in remaining extemporaneous and conversational. Are there things that we all need to work on, including not sending me this by your cell phone? Absolutely. But those are things, as I indicated a moment ago, that can be easily worked on, because the more you practice, the more that you research, it's just going to be second nature, putting together a slideshow, rearranging everything so it's going to maximize your ability to be an effective communicator. Because the more you do this, the more you'll be looking at the camera and you'll figure out, this is where I want my webcam on the screen. This is where I want the timer, so I'm not looking back and forth. This is where I want the light, because as you know, I've been experimenting with light because these are new. All of these are elements in time that you can work on, but just rise to the occasion once each week. And my stipulation at the end of class, for those of you who did not send me something, I'll give you until Monday at class time of next week to send me the demonstrative speech. Sometimes life intrudes, this week only, because Wednesday and Thursday of next week, we've got informative speeches and we have to move on. Let's go to Blackboard first. Everything that you do in real time will be posted right here. And even though the videos are long, they usually post relatively quickly. So day 2 should be up, I would think, no later than 3 o'clock. I look at it closely. I will retitle it. If any of you want to join our class sessions coming up next week or for the rest of the semester, sometime later on today in the professor's mode, I'll probably go ahead and put the last 12 class sessions up right here. The reason it's empty is because the first 7 that I had scheduled are all concluded. But again, back here are all of the visuals. You can go either to Tools to check Blackboard, and we'll put it back up for you like this. And either at Tools or at My Grades, and I'll show you each of them, sometime Sunday night, I will be posting the scores for the demonstrative speeches to a maximum of 20. A lot of the constructive criticism I give you verbally is actually done in real time, as you're well aware, because I want my reactions to be spontaneous and to be real. That's why I'm watching them for the first time. And then again, right here, you can also check on the grades. But as far as next week is concerned, not only can you go to the mass communication website and access that to look for information related to the informative speeches, but also at the course syllabus, the itinerary set up for next week, where Monday of next week, informative speech research, followed by Tuesday, informative speech topic selection, Wednesday, informative speech, day 1, and then that continues on with day 2 on Thursday of next week. So from now on, with informative, with persuasive, with wildcard, it is Monday through Thursday. And then back to the course syllabus. This is the course speech schedule for next week, day 1, day 2. Look for your names. Transition from demonstrative day 1 on Friday, or I should say demonstrative speeches day 1 and day 2, Thursday and Friday, to informative. We transition next week to Wednesday and Thursday. So all of you have one less day to prepare. Any of you who are on this list who did not give a speech, if I don't have it by Monday, it will be listed as a 0, and you certainly don't want to have that. So as we conclude for the week, let me go back to Twitter and remind you that on occasion I will use that platform to send out information, other data. What we have done so far on my Twitter feed, and most of the stuff on the Twitter feed during the summer, is going to be based on the basic public speaking course. And the other element that we will go to at the end of the day is my website, which you can access from page 4 of the syllabus with a link. There will be an occasional demonstrative, informative, persuasive, or wildcard presentation from this class, Summer 1 of 2022, and place on the website. But I probably will not do that until the month of July, after everything has been completed. But all the way down here, you have both the basic and the advanced public speaking courses. But here in this window, everything that I've been talking about on Blackboard, in case Blackboard ever goes down, can also be accessed here. The outlines, the audios, the videos can all be seen right here, including Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of last week, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. As you can see, it's still being processed. But today's class session will also be available on my website. It will be right here. That's why it's important that you remember everything that you do in this class is going to be recorded for posterity on Blackboard Collaborate Ultra's video platform. And you want to make certain that whatever you send me is the best take from all of those different versions. As we wrap up the week, same thing I will repeat from yesterday. We're off to a positive start. In a basic public speaking course, there are a lot of things that you may not necessarily be aware of because some take a basic public speaking course in high school, some do not. A lot of you don't necessarily realize what you look like, what you sound like, and how all of those graphics are going to assist you in creating a positive persona. And that's my role, is to help all of you visualize success, because not every tool that one person uses is going to be available for another. Being a successful public speaker is not the same as putting together an algebraic equation. What works for one person is not going to work for someone else. But that's why you practice. That's why you watch the videos in a constructive, positive manner. How can I take what Professor Reppert talked about? How can I take the examples that are on his website? How can I take the examples from my classmates and utilize, shape, mold all of that into a formula that's going to work best for me? The self-evaluations are really, really important. But again, from a glass half full standpoint. Next week, we will be looking at informative speeches, with Monday of next week being informative speech research, followed up on Tuesday by informative speech topic selection. Anyone who still needs to pass along a speech, including the one that was sent to me on your phone, I will go ahead and replay that, as I said before, and anything else that is sent to me at the end of class on Monday, because my focus next week is informative speeches. So all of you, if you want to do some advanced research before Monday, go to the website, go to my YouTube channel, which I will stick up right here at the end of class. Because you will find, when you go to broadcast and speech projects, if you scroll through the listing of a variety of topics, eventually you are going to come down to informative speech on Loom, spring 2020, first summer 2020, fall 2020, fall intercession 2020, and we'll definitely be looking at that from someone who just graduated with her mass communication degree. Spring 2021, and first summer 2021, the last time that I taught the course. So when you are informing, you're primarily serving as a teacher or lecturer. So in addition to all of those that are available on my YouTube channel, you saw a moment ago my website. You can scroll through there and find all different kinds of informative speech outlines, audio, and video presentations. What's on my YouTube channel is usually at least one representative example from a class, and then I have all different kinds of projects, not all of them, but a good bit from classes gone by. Especially during the pandemic era, I put a lot of audio and video material on the website. But as I indicated at the outset, We're off to a positive start. There's a lot of work to be done, but the more that you practice, the more that you put your thoughts together in a coherent fashion, all of you will wind up ideally maximizing your potential. It's a long process, but I'm certain that we can succeed. Week by week, we focused on demonstrative speeches the first week. Now it's informative. Don't worry about your overall weight. The points will take care of themselves. You do what I'm asking you to do week by week, and you'll be fine. I'm not guaranteeing an A or a B, but I am guaranteeing that you will be a more thoughtful, confident, well-researched, and well-organized public speaker, coming across as fluent, authoritative, likable, and knowledgeable. And all of those do matter. Enjoy the weekend. It is relatively short for us as we go to the Monday through Thursday platform starting next week. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking for the first summer session of 2022. Have a nice weekend. We will resume on Monday with grades being posted in Blackboard at the Grade Center sometime on Sunday night. That concludes the recording session for today.